So, welcome everybody to today's interview, to today's brief conversation, which we are having in the frame of our CESI Talks series, which is part of a bigger project, the WEP 24, which aims at, raising awareness among our members, also about the upcoming European elections next year, and also speak, of course, about European issues in the good, for the good and for the bad too. And today I'm extremely happy and pleased to have Frank Siebern-Thomas, Head of Unit Fair, Green and Digital Transitions at the DG Employment of the European Commission with me. Dr. Siebern-Thomas, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Now you are the European Commission under your leadership is also moderating a breakout session on the occasion of our summer days, and I quote, "To achieve the transitioning to a green economy and leave no one behind, we need the right policies at all levels." How do you think can the European Union ensure that the green and digital transitions are, or at least try, socially just?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation, for the opportunity. That's obviously ongoing work which requires action by all of us. The European Commission, but not us alone. Obviously, we have to work together with partners, social partners, and other stakeholders. Fairness and solidarity are objectives and guiding principles of the European Green Deal and also of the digital decade, and they are so because without a just transition, we are convinced there will just be no transition. And also, we know from a series of Eurobarometer surveys we have done and from direct contact with stakeholders that people, workers and businesses are very much aware of these transitions, of the need of these transitions, of their urgency. And the majority of them also keeps telling us that they see a personal responsibility and want to contribute to these transitions and to making them fair and work for all. So I believe that this focus on fair transitions is really needed to empower every one of these to play their full role in the transition. We also believe that the twin transition offers a lot of opportunities, which we have to show and to bring to the people, including opportunities of creating new jobs, new quality jobs, several millions up to 2030 with the right policies in place to tackle poverty and to improve welfare and the well-being overall. But we need to have policies in place as those opportunities will not materialize automatically. There are also risks, there are also downside risks in the transition if we do not get the policies right. And we have also to take into account, obviously, that the transition requires adjustments from many actors, sectors, economies, businesses, workers, obviously. And a lot of those will be subject to quite significant transformation processes, which leads to changing tasks, changing skill requirements, changing ways of production and consumption. At the same time, we know, for example, today only 1 out of 10 workers in energy-intensive industries participates in training every year. So there may be need to also upscale action together. What we have done at the European level as a first step, as in the context of the Fit for 55 package under the Green Deal, is to negotiate with member states a council recommendation on ensuring a fair transition. And through this council recommendation, member states have committed to a common framework to put in place policies for a fair transition and tailor them to the national situations. So these are policies in the areas of employment, skills, and social policies to make sure that there's a fair green transition. So in addition to putting these policies in place, I think what's important to ensure that these transitions are just is also to take everyone on board, as we said, notably to cooperate closely with the social partners and to also include civil society for an inclusive democratic transition at all levels. And finally, what this recommendation highlights is the need. There's a lot of funding support out there, including at European level. We have to make good use of both private and public funding for these fair transitions. For example, at European level, European Social Plus promotes green jobs and skills with 9.6 billion euros until 2027. So we think we have tried to put in place a framework to promote such policies at EU and national levels and all other relevant levels. And it's time now to deliver on those, to deliver on our promise to ensuring a fair transition, leaving no one behind, and to put in place such policies and monitor progress.
Now, social dialogue, social partnership, social partners, the importance of these kind of transcends many of the documents we read, also from the Council, but also I know that at the European Commission, this is very much at the heart of, how could I say, the preoccupations. How does the European Commission see the role of social partners in these transitions, which ought to be socially fair?
Yes, I fully agree with the statement of the social partners are at the heart of the European social market economy. And that's also documented in the treaty and in the provisions it stipulates for actions of social partners. So the social dialogue, collective bargaining offer real opportunities to help explore the full potential of the green and digital transitions I just mentioned. Social partners and their close involvement are key for anticipating change, for identifying skill and workforce needs, and for managing transformations in a fair way that takes everyone along. We believe that in this context, getting the foundations is right here is key. I will refer to another recommendation which the Commission issued in this regard earlier this month, which was adopted by ministers earlier this month. That's a recommendation to strengthen social dialogue at all levels, European and national and subnational levels. And this recommendation in particular highlights the potential for employers and workers to play an active role in policymaking for fair transitions. I believe some sectoral social dialogue committees at the European level have already taken action in these areas or have announced future initiatives. Moreover, to get these transitions right and to implement them in a fair manner, our documents also state quite openly that we think we need new solutions and social innovations. For example, we refer to innovative job-to-job transitions as part of the transformation processes. So transitions which combine reskilling, upskilling with income security, for example. And these are areas in which social partners can be a driving force and can be the ones developing, testing, piloting, and showcasing such innovative processes. There are other ideas being promoted, for example, green collective bargaining, which would offer the potential for companies and workers to manage the transition and to adapt to climate impacts and design again and pilot new tools, maybe plans, new tools needed for a fair transition, or new approaches to democracy at the workplace, and make them work in daily work, in everyday's work, basically. So at the EU level, as I said, social partners in many sectors promote actions and pursue projects with the Commission's support in this area. And obviously, without a doubt, the envisaged framework for action on the green transition by the cross-sector social partners will also be another important step in this journey.
Mr. Siebern, Thomas, I mentioned that you will be, and we're very grateful for that, participating in our summer days and moderating the breakout session of the European Commission. What are your expectations from or of the summer days?
Yes, we're very grateful to be invited and to have this opportunity also to steer one of the breakout sessions. Actually, I'm lucky to know from experience in last years that your summer days are both very pleasant and engaging events, and they offer real moments for exchange and reflection. I think I can share openly with you probably that some of the good ideas for our work, we believe, were born both during the sessions or during the coffee breaks at last year's summer days, and I'm grateful for that. So based on this positive experience also this year, I look forward mainly to these exchanges on new ideas, new inputs from the participants and stakeholders at the summer days. That also includes, I'm open about this, feedback on the initiatives we have just discussed before, like the Council recommendation on ensuring a fair transition, as well as forward-looking ideas for future action on how to build together and implement a robust framework for just transitions. On the workshop itself, obviously, yes, we want to discuss a fair deal for workers. How will the EU ensure just transitions? I think they will try to dig even deeper, come up with new ideas, directly implementable or not, for future actions in this area, but also be open to an open and transparent exchange, let's say, on the expectations which may not have been met so far, or areas where further action is needed. So I think opportunities like this direct exchange, like the summer days, are really critical for designing and implementing policies that respond to the needs and expectations of businesses, workers, and households, and to, let's say, have a moment and dedicate 1 or 2 days in this pleasant context to listen to those carefully and to see what can be done together. I'm very much looking forward to this.
Mr. Siebern, Thomas, maybe last question, maybe also is to you as a let's say working at the European Commission, but maybe also as a citizen, as an engaged citizen. You know that we are conducting these interviews in the frame of the MEP project, meaning we really want to raise awareness of our members, get engaged in European policy making, but also to think, of course, to think of the upcoming European elections next year. Why is the active engagement of citizens and workers in the EU so important? And what will be your message to the citizens? Why go vote?
Yes, thank you very much. Very important question. I think active engagement is important both to contribute to policy making, but also to ensure that let's say we design policies that meet expectations and needs of the people, and policies that will be implemented and followed up afterwards, obviously, and promote and provide concrete opportunities to the people. I said before, in particular in relation to the question of transitions, the green and digital transitions, also we have to pay a lot of attention to the perceptions of fairness, to the perceptions of people, and to what extent they perceive costs and benefits, for example, being shared fairly in this process. I referred before to the Eurobarometer survey we had last year. I think also here it provides a lot of input. So 90% of Europeans agree with the need for a fair transition. Some 80% of Europeans in the survey see the personal responsibility to contribute to these transitions. And there are also large majorities, according to the surveys, which I think is important to take into account for a number of policy support actions which can be taken. So, for example, increased investments in public transport, financial support to businesses or households affected by the transition, or those who cannot afford necessary investments, and also encouragement of private companies to adopt more circular, sustainable production processes and retrain the workforce. I think it's important to take into account that there is large public support, as we see it, both for own responsibility, own action, but also for policy action in this area. Now, it's very important to ensure transitions that those measures, and they are often far-reaching, the policy answers needed in the area of climate and energy policies, environmental policies, that they are socially accepted, because they have a significant impact on workers, on the workplaces, production process, as we said, but also on daily life of all citizens. How we work, move, learn, and consume. All of this may be impacted, and behavioral changes, production, consumption changes may be needed in this context. So therefore, it's obviously important that citizens are part of this. When it comes to policy making, in our recommendation, we have referred to this as a whole of society approach, which takes along everyone in the design, implementation, and monitoring of these policies. That includes social partners, regional and local authorities, and civil societies at large. And so we believe this is an important basis needed for long-term support for inclusive policies advancing the green transition. What's also important, I think in many different places in the EU, experiences have been made with direct engagement of citizens. I already referred to social partner actions, social dialogue committees, and others who play obviously a key role. But there are also new experiences made with the citizen assemblies, citizen panels, participatory budgets at local levels. So I expect that those may need needed. We need to develop those further, and they will probably grow, such initiatives, as part of the transition, including at local levels, where we directly support also local actions, social innovation actions, to have citizens and communities come up, social economy actors, SMEs come up with new ideas how to implement fair transitions. Now, how to make, I think your second question was how to make people vote in the European elections. That's a difficult one, but an important one, obviously, because working for one of the EU institutions, I obviously do believe that this is important. That's important that people's views and expectations are reflected, and the European Parliament plays a key role, obviously, also as representing the EU populations here. I believe that the experiences we have gone through during last years, the pandemic, the energy price crisis, against the background of the war in Ukraine, have shown what Europe can do when it acts together and how important it can be and how rapid sometimes it can reply. There will be rapid responses unheard of before, quite courageous. Next Generation EU, Repower EU with new forms of solidarity to ensure access, secure access to affordable energy, and also the common response, obviously, to aggression and war. Maybe show that there is a real added value, I would believe, and I honestly believe, in belonging to the EU and shaping these policies. So everyone should take the opportunity to make his or her voice heard in this process and be part of this. I don't want to miss to refer to the area of social policy more specifically, where there's the European Pillar of Social Rights, which sets a compass to also strengthen social Europe and to make Europe and the European economy work for people. So this is an important objective of the European Union, of the European Commission, and the recent adoption of the new directive on adequate minimum wages is one example of what action could be undertaken here, which with direct effect and direct benefits, as we hope, to millions of European citizens. So here again, views on how people see your social rights protected and their own rights and opportunities promoted in Europe are important. And last but not least, it's all about, as I said before, two-way communication. Yes, it's our job to come up with proposals for policy making, but these are proposals based obviously on also stakeholder input, and we want to listen. So people should use the opportunities. There are many at European level to launch citizen initiatives, to participate in consultations, and the biggest and most important of those, obviously, are the parliament elections. I hope people will go and will participate actively to tell us how to ensure that this added value that EU policies have go into directions they see fit for the future.
So Siebern, Thomas, thank you very much. I cannot agree more. What we experience always is how rewarding it can actually be also to engage in how could I say, European policy making. And we are always surprised, positively surprised, well, not surprised anymore, but we notice that increasingly that the European institutions are much more transparent and much more permeable as we would commonly think. And I think today's interview is a proof of that too. Mr. Siebern, Thomas, thank you very much. We see you at the summer days. All the best to you and your team.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it. Bye-bye.